had, wow. My wife is very patient, and are we pushing it a little bit too far? Welcome to the Okie Woodsman channel. My name is Joe, and on my last episode, I was in the middle of moving my wood yard, enjoying myself using the grapple. Got a majority of this pile of wood moved. Hey, buddy. And because the hoses were slightly too short at full dump, I finally wrecked that joint, and I'm getting some hoses sent to me. That's going to be another story for another day, but I've got to go back to the way I used to do it using my stinking bucket, and I am not excited for it because those don't hold anything hardly. Now I'm doing this in preparation for something I maybe ought not do, but I'm thinking about doing it anyway. Tell me, when you guys have that sort of intuition, do you find that your intuition's right or wrong? Is it kind of one of those things like I told myself, or, you know, or is it like, oh, I was just worried about nothing? Here's where the grapple would have shined on something like this. Those big, large capacity buckets would be actually pretty beneficial, especially if you had a lot of smaller stuff you could hand load. It's gonna be really nice to move the wood yard out of this area. I'm tired of looking at it out my front door. My wife is very patient, and she hasn't complained about it per se, but I can tell she would prefer it not being there. By the end of today, I should be able to also drive through that side too. It's really helping because I've always wanted to be able to move the tractor around the property, and I just haven't been able to. This is where the devastation happened with the grapple yesterday. Let me see real quick. Yeah. Need to do something about that. Bet you're all wondering what's the stupid thing I'm gonna do. Well, that's probably gonna be another video. Just simply are not gonna fit much in the bucket. Boy. I'm gonna try to get as much on this as I can. Now, if I start dropping stuff, it's kind of counterproductive. I wonder if it'll ride. When you have equipment, you get very dependent upon it, rightfully so. You also better get used to hiccups. Hiccups always occur. Now, that last hiccup I had arguably could have been avoided. The grapple came with those leads, and I figured I would take it until they didn't work anymore. Because if you've ever used a grapple, hydraulic lines and stuff, they have a tendency to get hurt. That one was my fault, not anything about anything other than it just being a little too short. This is riding pretty good. Thankfully, I don't have to go far and fast. This isn't taking too many loads, actually. I might have 2 more. I was able to stack that last bucket up pretty high. Here's the cat again. Big boy over there. First, I should probably get this one in there. This is going to take up a lot of space. Perfect. Now, if you're wondering, this is probably going to be wood that we burn at our house. It doesn't matter to us if it's a little less than optimal. For anything for sale, this has too much punk. Now, of course, there's some good wood in the center. We'll probably just use it. I'm actually getting more load in the bucket than I anticipated. It is more work not being able to grab it with the grapple, though. That last one rode. Are we pushing it a little bit too far? This time I'll try to record my dump. We've had a tremendous amount going on here at the Okie Woodsman channel on our homestead. You call it a homestead if you don't have animals and you're not growing a garden. I've shared in the past some goals I had, and in order to accomplish some of those goals, I've had to do some things to the home. And there will be video about that, but it's not something that I'm going to share repeatedly as I go through the process. Oops. Stuff falling back on the loader is a quick way to damage something else. Let's not do that, right? Next load should be the rest, and then all the sycamore I have on the ground over there, I'm actually going to stack that in the empty IBC tote I have. I think all this will easily fit in that tote. Another reason for using that wood for our personal use is not all of it is 16-inch lengths. I don't think most people exactly care, but I'm trying to have a little bit of a better product that I could deliver to someone. All these mushrooms. It grows off the outside, not the inside, and that's why this part of the wood is good and this part of the wood is bad. Man, I feel like I could actually, I was gonna cut it, but I think if I dig my bucket down in there, I can actually pop that up. I think I'm about to get rained on. Dang it. That was unexpected. I didn't know that was happening. Here in Oklahoma, you never know what's going to happen with the weather. Get this off. No, this hopefully won't last very long. Well, gosh dang. That just came out of nowhere. I've had a lot to do around it. Wow. I've had a ton to do around here, guys. Finding the balance between being a husband, being a father, taking care of the gifts that we've been given here on the Okie Woodsman channel, my wife and I, what we've accomplished, and really the kids, and then filming, editing, posting, commenting. Things have slowed down. You probably noticed that down in the video section. I really burned the candle hard from both ends for 2 years, easily like lived and breathed filming, and I'm still gonna live and breathe filming and editing. I was putting up videos every other day for quite some time, even after I said I was gonna slow down, and I didn't slow down really. I slowed down for like that week, but then I still had videos up. But this time I think it has to be for real, because you know, I'm gonna have some different types of content. I'm seeing that different types of content that I thought would work differently than I thought. Making a video that gets 500 views versus 50,000 or 100,000 views almost takes the same amount of time. Wow, it's getting it. I had no clue this was gonna happen today. When the weather breaks, I'm gonna finish up this, because I really just need to get this area clean. It's really helping me out mentally to have these projects done. I don't know if I've shared it before. I may have. I did. I think I did on the deck. My wife came up with a statement that undone projects or half-done projects are like mental debt. Things that you know you need to get to that you're not getting to because they're 75% of the way done, 50% of the way done. That's all mental debt. Mental debt certainly was like the deck. Huge mental debt. We had, wow. I probably shouldn't be out here. That was like right on top of us. Yeah. I wonder if my power's out. I'll bet you my power's out. No, my kid just, I saw him go that way and then back. The power may have just blinked. That was, that lightning strike was right here. It was really close. Mental debt was all those things, and what's happening is as I clean up my surrounding right around my house, it's helping my wife out for sure, but it's really helping me out because when I see piles of stuff to do, when I see junk laying around, or like this kills me, this beautiful splitter is just outside uncovered. Some people might wonder like, hey, why don't you cover it with a tarp? Why don't you cover your tractor with a tarp? For sure, I could do that. But the time and the investment, and then the tarps blow, we get crazy wind. I've just had to realize that season of our life, we're not in that season of our life right now where everything could be optimal, and I've had to be okay with that. We are having massive success on the channel. This is not, when I'm talking about having to slow down, it has nothing to do with that the channel is not working or it's failing or anything. No, the channel is doing better than ever. The support that you guys have given is absolutely incredible. And it's a weird thing because right now is when I really ought to be just completely hunkering down and pushing double hard. The problem is I've been pushing double hard for 2 years and I don't have the double hard right now. I just don't have the double hard. So what I've got to do is, you know, I've got to focus on some things, right? With that being said, we have some extremely exciting stuff planned. I am looking forward to what's coming. I would look at the radar, except for we are using the camera right now. My wife's at the farmer's market. They are no doubt probably getting rained on. She's gonna be wet. So this side never really worked as the wood yard. It just was where we had access because we had cleared through here. I have lateral lines for my septic running through here. So this never really worked as the wood yard because of the slope. You can see there on the house, and this is like a side slope all the way through here. It worked well for what we needed, but the splitter really ought not be operated on unlevel ground. It tells you that, but I had no choice in the matter. Especially with the log lift that way, if you put something too heavy, it wanted to tip it. Now, if the lift was facing up this way, then it was no problem. The only issue with that is when you put heavy rounds on the ground, they had a tendency to go downhill. So that just was never really conducive. So by moving up there, it removes it from direct view from the house. It's a flatter area, which is the biggest thing. So view and a flat area is just absolutely great. And then this area here, I eventually would like to put like a stone retaining wall kind of in here and make this kind of more of a level area backfilled with rock. And, you know, and then have it taper nicely into our trailheads. We have a really nice trail system going throughout here. We just recently had some guests here. Yeah. So I kind of picture this, you know, going from, there's like a tree right there, kind of wrapping and going around here about like that, lifting that up and leveling it off for parking for guests, family, friends, and whoever else, because we eventually do want to have a garage on the other side. Do I think we're going to be able to use that garage right away for parking in? The likelihood is probably not, unless we do put up 2 buildings, and I'm going to try to do that. But if we end up with just a garage first, it's not going to be for cars. There's no way on this earth. In fact, it would probably be for my tractor if anything got parked in there, because that's the most expensive thing I have. Let's pick back up again. I thought it was going to slow down for a second. All of this is, you know, I don't have the stone on my property to be able to make that wall. I'm not going to do it out of like wood or railroad ties. I would like to find good stone. If I could get that, acquire it for very reasonable or free, I could do it. Now that I have the tractor, I can place all of that. And then it would be quite a few loads to fill this up. I'd fill it with fill and then top it with rock. But I would like to make this more even here and just kind of create a terraced look. It probably would have made sense to do that beforehand, but I've already got the deck there. I've got those trees I don't really want to remove, so I can't bury them. So I think the terrace look ought to be pretty cool. Man, I hope that the audio's okay on this. It is rip-roaring. One of the best things for a wet tractor seat is an electric blower. You can blow that sucker off in a hurry. Because I don't know what's going on with the weather, I think this was a good conversation. I really miss my grapple. The bucket worked out better than I thought it would for those large rounds because I was able to stack them, didn't have to travel too far. The terrain isn't super rough, so I was able to do that. My grapple ought to be back up in commission shortly because I have some tree removals and some cleanup I need to do here on the property. Part of that mental debt because it's resources wasting away otherwise. You guys have seen what happens when you don't get to the pine tree quick after it dies. It turns absolutely to mush. So I want to get what I have down and I need to clean it up. Now I can get the logs moved with the forks. Because of the off-camber nature of the ground, the forks aren't going to be real good for moving the logs or the brush. Stuff's going to want to fall off. It's already hard enough to balance it on forks. Guys, thank you for watching the Okie Woodsman channel. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And please remember to hit that thumbs up button because my thumbs up ratio is pretty low on my videos. I don't ask for it earlier on. I probably ought to start asking for it. But make sure you hit that thumbs up. Guys, we're doing great. We're coming up on 25,000 here on YouTube. We're about at 45,000 on Facebook. We're at like 15,000 on TikTok. And Instagram is less than 300 still. So thank you for watching the Okie Woodsman channel, and we will see you on the next one.